once you find a place that's, you're comfortable kind of making a mess, if you have a board or something like a small clipboard or a piece of cardboard that's like a little bit larger than your paper, um, that would work too. So what I'm gonna do is now tape using my masking tape. I'm gonna tape down a border just so the paper would hold still. This also helps prevent some of the buckling that the paper might endure whenever it gets wet from the spray or the watercolor. So I'm gonna lay down just using the width of the tape. Also, once you peel the tape off, it makes this really nice kind of white border that's almost like a frame. Okay, so you have your paper taped down. Helps to kind of like make sure that it's laying flat. Awesome. Yeah, so you have your tape in place. Now with the rest of the tape, well, you are gonna draw. Think of this as you're gonna be drawing with tape. So what I'm gonna do is make a couple of simple shapes with the tape. Just draw anything that you want with the tape. I also use a different uh, width of tape as well. If you want to like, you know, really utilize like the shape of your tape, you can use scissors that like cut the tape into different shapes. You can tear your tape into all sorts of things. But what we're essentially doing is drawing with the tape. And, do here. So, I'm kind of doing a face. You can do whatever you want, whether it's like you're doing a pattern, you're doing, you're doing a snake, a giraffe, or whatever. So just give a couple minutes to kind of, you know, till everyone has, what they wanted in terms of having their image taped out or drawing with the tape.
Okay, so we've got a question from PB. They want to know, what are we making with the tape right now?
Oh, what are we making with the tape? Anything you want. Like, think of the tape as a drawing tool, and you're essentially drawing with the tape. Like, if you want to like use the tape to make like a abstract pattern or something, that could be cool. If you want to use the tape at like to draw something like as an outline of sorts, that could be cool too. But what specifically are you making? Oh, I'm making a face. It's hard to kind of see, but there's a nose, there's the eyes, there's a smile.
Does the drawing with the tape have to be perfect?
Oh, no, not at all. As long as it's like, you have the tape and it's laying flat, like, just kind of like air out, like, run your finger over the tape so that there's no like ripples or air bubbles in there. That's completely fine. If you want the tape to have like a bit of a tear or edge to it, that can create some interesting textures as well.
Are we going to paint on top of the tape or what?
Yeah, the idea is we're like, once everyone has their images taped down, we're going to take the spray bottle and then spray on top of the tape, and then wait for it to dry and do another spray, and then we'll have a gradient, and then we'll remove the tape, and all that white that's underneath will be the negative space, and that'll kind of create an outline.
So Sri says, laid down a lot of tape in interesting patterns to create interesting negative space. I think that sounds great.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Cool. All right. In the meantime, I can talk about like, my tools of the trade in terms of like the professional airbrushes that I use. Yeah, so the technique we're doing, it's still gonna be using paint dispensed in a way where it's comes out as a mist through like these spray bottles. But what I personally use are called double action airbrushes, which is an airbrush very much like this that has a well on top where the paint goes in, and it has this trigger that moves a needle that's inside back and forth, and it kind of controls the tip of the nozzle like an aperture, and it's connected here with a hose that's connected to an air compressor, which pumps air through the brush and forces the paint that's in the well here into a fine mist on whatever surface I'm painting. And I also used something called a single action airbrush. And it's called single action because there's one button, it has one trigger that doesn't move back and forth. So you can't really control the width of the aperture or the nozzle all too much, except you have to do it manually with kind of adjusting the nozzle here. And the well on this is separate, but works in the same way. Air is connected through a hose here and forces, and once I push this button, it forces the paint to disperse through this in the mist. And that's what I use for my paintings.
Is it similar to like spray painting with a spray paint can?
Similar-ish. It's less toxic in a way where it's like, because with spray paint, it uses aerosol and there's acetone and all sorts of chemicals that kind of propel the paint, but also keep the paint kind of like liquid inside. So, again, I don't know if I'd call it safer, but it's definitely less toxic and a little bit more indoor friendly than spray paint. So once you have your image taped down and you've run your fingers through and made sure the tape is laying flat, what you're gonna do is take your spritzer bottle or your spray bottle with you're gonna dilute some paint into your bottle. So in the kit, what kind of paint did they have included in there? Like acrylic paint or watercolor or?
It's watercolor. I don't know
Okay.
that everybody got the same thing, but the supplies list was for watercolor.
If you have watercolor in the pan, dampen your brush and just kind of make sure that watercolor gets all wet and runny, and you can use the brush and kind of almost put it into the bottle as best as you can, and kind of dilute it a little bit with water just so it remains fluid. If you have acrylic paint, or tempera paint that you bought at the store, put like a couple drops of that thick paint and dilute it with water. With the spraying here today that I'm showing y'all, I'm gonna kind of do the spraying first to kind of show you guys how to do a gradient with the two different colors. Okay, cool. So then what you want to do is take your bottle and carefully spray, but you don't want to spray the entire picture. You want to leave a little bit of room. So leave a little bit of white area, because we're going to reserve that area for our second color. So I'm going to start off in this corner here. Then I'm going to let that dry. This is a little bit, has a little bit not as precise control as like an airbrush, but you can still direct it in whatever way you want. Like,
Oh wow, I love that splatter effect. That looks really cool.
as you can see, I kind of left room like here in this upper area, so that way it can come in with our second color. With the second part, if you have a second spray bottle, that's great. We're just kind of repeat the first part of this and, just use a different color. If we're using one spray bottle, then, take the time to kind of rinse it out pretty good and, spray through the nozzle with clean water until it runs clear. And then just essentially rinse and repeat, but with a different color. And once you have that different color, we're going to come back to the paper and then start on this end and spray that new color. Cool. So now that hopefully it's dry, or for the most part dry, I'm going to start by going on the corner that it's relatively untouched with a different color and start spraying that. And one thing about this is you can overlap with the new color over the old color, and it creates something entirely new.
Oh wow, I see that where the yellow and the blue are meeting, it makes this really nice shade of green in between the two.
Yeah. just kind of like give that time to dry. So what I have is a thing of water and let's see, some paint in my paintbrush. And what you can do is kind of, you know, as this is drying, you could think about kind of what you want to do with your picture, whether, because along with spraying, I also use paint in my paintings. So like solid paint in my paintings, and you could, you know, flourish your image with whatever you want. I have like some purple paint here that I'm gonna like probably paint in a couple of these areas. But you know, if you'll have like watercolor or acrylic or tempera or something, you could think of how to kind of flourish some of these spaces or anything that you have within your image as well. Cool. That seems dry. So yeah, that's dry. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is take my brush, take my paint, just kind of paint in like a blank area here. Just to kind of add a little bit of something to the image. So, I guess now we're kind of like in the last kind of marathon mile of this, right? So once you've kind of like added whatever details you wanted, and once the paint is dry, what you're gonna do is carefully find a corner of that you can peel the tape. Just slowly peel the tape. Crap. My bad, I probably should have waited for that to dry a little bit more.
Oh, wow. So satisfying.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you know, ideally, you kind of wait for this to dry completely, just because it gives a cleaner pool, and then you don't have to worry about the paper peeling up. What helps with that is I have a heat gun, which I use on all my paintings, and what that is essentially a more powerful hair dryer that kind of speeds up the drying time. If you have a hair dryer, feel free to like do that to kind of speed up the drying time. That helps. Not a little bit of patience that never killed anyone.
Oh, wow, that's so cool. The white on the gradient and purple just has such a contrast. It looks so fresh.
Yeah. ideally, this would be completely dry. If you want to wait for it to completely dry, be my guest. There.
We have about 5 minutes left in the program today. I encourage anyone who would like to show and tell about the picture that they made to please turn your camera on and show it. Or if you just want to type in the chat about your thoughts on the piece that Loc made, or maybe some thoughts and ideas that you had as you were making your piece.
I didn't peel it off yet.
No rush.
Yeah, no rush. So a question I have for you, Loc, now that you've got this stage done, is this a finished piece, or are there still some details you might do to it in the future to finish it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, I mean, I'm probably done with this piece, but at the same time, like, maybe you're different. Maybe you want to like add something into this. What you can do is like, maybe play with the tape a bit more. Like maybe you like tape out like this area and this area and this area, like make a square triangle on top of it. And maybe you spray a different color in that triangle, or maybe you paint a different color in there. You can just kind of like layer. And the great thing about the kind of spray thing is you can layer things on top of each other, or you can, one great thing about tape too is you can like section off certain parts that you want to paint and just paint into that. Yeah, so painting is about as done as you want it to be. So if you want to continue working on this and kind of like repeat some of the early steps that I showed y'all, then yeah, feel free to.
So Imelda and Justin want to know what the preferred paint that you use is, and for kids.
So the paint that I use, I use Liquitex and golden acrylic paints. But for and those are kind of professional grade like acrylic paints. But you can find like Liquitex basics or like painting. I think this project works really well with something called tempera paint, which is water soluble, but it's also kind of got the viscosity of acrylic paint whenever it's not diluted. So yeah.
Loc, I want to show you, I got the concept, so I just want to show you what I did today. But
okay,
I got it now.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I like that. All the cool geometric shapes. That's nice. Yeah, I love the kind of play of colors. Yeah, it looks great.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Very expressive.
I like this.
Yeah, I'm glad you do. I like it too. I think it turned out great.
Yeah, I like it. It's very abstract, different textures. I like it.
Awesome.
So I see we're at noon right now. Just one more thing that I have to remind everybody before they go. Thank you so much for participating today. Thank you to Loc, especially for giving us this great demo. I just love what you did today in the demo, and I think everybody enjoyed it too.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you everyone for showing up, and being along for the ride. I really appreciate it.
Loc, could you come back and teach us how to draw food like you did with your grandma or your mom? I mean,
Maybe one day, whenever
I
time permits.
like pictures of food like that because it's nostalgic. Everybody carries generations of what their grandma and then their mom fed them and what foods were comfy foods to them, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to do a food still life kind of workshop one day.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked your Instagrams.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. This was so
Glad
fun.
to have everyone here.
Bye.
Oh, one more thing before you go. Please make sure to complete our survey. This is our programming survey, and we use the information that you provide to develop future programming, free programming, just like this. We don't charge anything for these types of free workshops where you can work directly with a professional artist. So what we do ask is to just go ahead and fill out our survey. I'm going to drop the link in the chat for you. And what you provide in the survey directly affects how we program in the future. So if you like this program, please let us know. If you have suggestions that of maybe arts and crafts or other types of cultural programs that you would like to see Asian American Resource Center host, please fill it out and let us know what you think. We really would love to hear what you have to think about this, and your voice really matters. So thank you for everyone who attended. Special thanks to Loc. Thanks for showing us your amazing craft and sharing with us today. It really means a lot.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye,
Thanks for
everyone.
attending.